If you're a facilities manager at a university, you know students rely on the cafeteria for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and the occasional late-night snack. So when a dishwasher breaks down and dirty plates pile up, the mess hall can turn messy in the blink of an eye. Enter Grainger. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast delivery, the product you need now is never far away. So you can turn that dishwasher back into a lean, clean washing machine. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sir, enjoy my wife and yours.
This lady
Mazel
is still a Facebook friend. How her posts will pop up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's the random lady from the plane. Okay.
No, what a nice couple. They were so gentle.
Oh,
Well, it was a memorable night. So.
I'll bet it was.
They divorced. This episode is made possible by our deity, the Dark Lord himself, Jim Sfasha,
Yes.
and our Thera partners, Dirty, Beat, and Pickett from fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. This is Pod Therapy, real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. It's episode 365. We've come full circle. Wow. Geometry pun.
Oh.
And now, broadcasting from the churn, that's Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod Therapy.
Huh. Is that how that works? Isn't okay, so 360 would have been full circle. 365 is...
Fuck me.
Yeah.
Can we start over?
No.
Absolutely
I want
not.
everybody to know what just happened. I want it all.
I just thought you meant like a year. I was
He's
like,
holding his head in
365
shame.
days.
I did too.
And then I was like, what is Jim talking about? Why would it be 360? Like,
Just know that
360.
Nick is just ashamed of himself.
Well, you could have stuck through
that he
it, Nick,
just
and
got
just said
fucking math
a year.
checked by Jim Jobin. Yeah! He's getting forgetful. That's right. You don't know what's going on.
I seriously just want to go home. I don't want to do this show.
He's handcuffed you to the chair.
I do not want to do this.
Watching his
quits.
pro football, Minnesota Vikings, they let him down, just like Jim has let him down for years and years.
Yeah. And if you'd like to hear Nick's entire plan for galactic genocide and the standard...
It's not genocide.
Okay, a lot of people are going to die.
Genocide is wiping out a race of people.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah. So this it's just
Randocide.
technically this is not genocide.
Randocide slash...
I think this is
kind
just-
of merit-based,
Just homicide.
I think this is good old-fashioned mass murder.
Okay, you know what? I
Yeah,
agree.
but are you on my side?
Certainly.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
not
right.
a standard. Getting Jacob to help you
I
kill
just wanna
people
get
is
the
not
correct
hard to
label on
do.
it. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
That's
concerned
fine.
about.
I'm
Yeah.
fine.
No
Yeah.
one's surprised.
You're like,
Like,
oh, but I've got Jacob on my side.
I
So clearly
support
I'm on the
your
moral
position,
side.
and I support getting the label correct.
No.
Those are the two things I support.
Fine with that.
You're on the wrong side.
Well, why shouldn't we get correct labels
When
on
you're
it?
shoulder to shoulder with Jacob on the issue of should we kill a lot of people, you can be like, but Jacob's with me, so clearly I'm
You
on
can
the
be
right.
you can be on my
You can be,
cabinet.
you can be in a worse position.
You can be on my cabinet, Jacob.
all
You'll
right.
be my administrator of or general of something.
Execution.
Oh, I thought I was just
I'll
going to
find
sit
a
on a
title.
cabinet.
Yeah.
No.
You,
Okay.
you could also
I thought I was just going to hang out in your house
assemble
sitting on the
cabinets.
cabinet.
That'd be
Yeah.
nice too.
Yeah.
Well, you can hear all about Nick's mass homicide plan.
Can we please start
and the
episode over?
standards
Oh, no.
that he will apply at patreon.com/therapy.
I don't get it. We
really
start
great.
the episode over like 5 out of every 10 shows.
Yeah, you're
Nah, I
gonna
don't
try
think
the
it's that
geometry
often.
pun
I don't think
again.
it's that
One out of every
often.
2.
You're gonna
I don't think it's that often. It's not. We don't start half of them over again. I bet we start one. I bet we start one every 6 months over.
Yeah.
I bet we start a couple of
Take
years
your
over.
lumps.
It's
it's
2025.
okay, Nick.
It's a new year.
It was funny.
Let's burn that first
We're
one
not
right now.
burning it this early. It's January.
You got to save one in the chamber.
Yeah.
Patreon.com.
We're not starting over until at least June.
Oh yeah. So it's going to be a good night. Our buddy Nick is having a hard one, and we're just going to drag his ass along.
I
It's
hope
gonna
there aren't
be
any
fun.
questions where we could possibly say, Ryder, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Because tonight's the night where Nick's going to do
Yeah,
it.
there is no empathy or sympathy coming out of Tangeman tonight. He's
No.
going to explain to you why you're wrong, and then allege that perhaps you should be part of his mass homicide plan. So
I
we will see.
was going to say super quick, thank you to anyone who donated to the GoFundMe I mentioned last week. Just on a really quick serious note, there was has a little uptick in a lot of anonymous donors.
Oh,
so
good.
That's
I
great.
could be wrong, but I'm assuming it came from this group,
That's
and I
wonderful.
just really appreciate it. So just throwing that
Very
out there.
cool.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
I'll
Thanks,
go ahead and take credit
listeners.
for all of them.
Yeah. I was going to say those are from
Jacob.
all of us. Yeah.
It's just a whole bunch of different emails from me.
That's right.
Well,
it took
thank
him
you,
so
Jacob.
long
You're welcome.
just to use all those damn
I
emails.
take back all my things. to everyone else.
Yeah. Every email is Jacob OnlyFans 1, OnlyFans 2. It's just all the burners. Well, thanks everybody who
It'd be
supported
weird
that
if they
cause.
just gave me the domain name for my email. just seems odd.
Anyway, check us out, patreon.com/therapy. You can get in on the pre-show shenanigans. And don't forget, you get the show a day earlier, and you also get access to our entire historical archive and library of deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. We release new content every Monday where Nick and I take
Whether
turns.
you want it or not.
Whether you're looking for it or not. And so I just completed a series on the relationship triangle, a really interesting theory that kind of identifies 8 different types of love in different relationships. And so that was a lot of fun. Nick's been doing a great series where we're getting to know our listeners on a deeper level with one-on-one interviews of our theraproducers. That list of names you hear during our trivia breaks and at the end of the show, you hear their names all the time. Why not get to know them? And so that's been a series that's been going on for a little while. It'll be going until February. So definitely come check that out. And I will also add that our intern, Emma, has a whole new installment coming out where she's doing a micro series on the Disney movie Inside Out. And Inside Out 2, this great movie about
cool.
emotions, and it weaves in a lot of psychology. And so she's doing a really cool deep dive on that, breaking that apart and kind of giving therapist hot takes along the way and using it as a way to illustrate some really big takeaways that an adult level person would really appreciate. So great stuff in the pipeline, patreon.com/therapy. If you are at the Therapod level or higher, you get access to everything that we got. So come check it out. It's a great time. And you also get to sleep well at night knowing that you are supporting mental health. But we have got some great questions here to start off this new year. And we're starting it all off with a great question about taking people too seriously. You know, like when you start yelling at random strangers on an airplane or,
So
you know,
serious.
No one yelled.
Why so serious?
No one yelled.
no yelling.
There was no yelling.
Just direct aggression. Taking people too seriously. Happy New Year, Pod Therapy crew.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. I joined the Patreon of the show last year and have been enjoying listening to Jim's woes a day earlier. Wonderful. Thank you for your support. I have a somewhat simple question in regards toward a general outlook on life. I have a habit of taking things too seriously. What are some practical steps that I can use to help me get out of this mindset? I struggle with anxiety, which I imagine plays a big role in things. I've been working on being nicer to myself and thinking of my coworkers as human beings rather than the arbiters of my work ethic or self-esteem. This helps me snap out of the intrusive thoughts of myself somehow failing dramatically and someone having an oversized reaction to something I do. This is a problem outside of work as well, as I sometimes feel that by not taking things or people seriously, I'm being disrespectful. I miss attempts at levity or playfulness from my partner because I don't want it to seem like I'm not giving her my full attention, or that I'm not hearing what she has to tell me. Taking everything, including myself, a little less seriously is a New Year's resolution of mine that I hope will improve my overall mental health. Any tips or tricks would be appreciated. Thanks, Serendipitous Scoop. Pronouns are he and him.
Ooh, that's interesting.
So, Nick, let's talk about maybe being
I'm
angry.
sorry, Serendipitous. I got nothing for you on this one.
Fuck you, he said.
This is a great question. It's landing on a great day. Let's talk about times when maybe we're just a lot of anger. A lot of anger.
This is why I shouldn't even be here right now. You guys are fine without me. I did the script.
Do you need another beer now?
I told you.
Just drain that beer. You'll feel better.
You guys know which theraproducers to thank during the break.
We
I
probably
don't. Need to be here.
I know, you saw what happened the last time you
You
left
know
us.
what happens when you leave me unsupervised.
Oh my gosh, taking things too seriously. I had a friend who dealt with this. Yeah, and just they described it as like I just physically can't be fun and playful. It's like it felt like a physical restriction almost.
Really?
Very
Okay.
interesting.
Huh.
My opinion, and this is going to be shared lightly, writer, serendipitous scoop. is that probably that's coming from childhood. Something happened back then. And maybe it taught you that you couldn't express yourself, like it wasn't safe for whatever reason. And that doesn't mean, you're abused or anything, but just it didn't feel like a safe space. So I wonder if that is something kind of creeping in. And so the best way to deal with it, I mean, I would remind yourself, especially with your partner, if you say something or do something wrong, like anyone in this room can speak to this. If your partner, say they like snap back at you, you play a joke or say something you think is joking and they're like, that's not funny or something like that, or just come back at you seriously.
I politely but firmly correct them and let them know that it was funny.
Okay. Not taking things too seriously.
As she's crying, the mascara's running.
Right.
I know. I was
you
like,
just don't get it, hon. You don't get the joke.
No. Let me explain it.
We're going to
Start
pause
from the
Jacob's
top.
response.
Knock. You say who's there.
But no, I think this has happened in my relationship. Like if one person's feeling extra sensitive or anything like that, and something you said jokingly or whatever, it's like taken the wrong way, that it's okay. And so I guess my challenge would be to kind of have that self-talk, that internal narrative of reminding yourself, hey, let me try this. Let me try this joke. I want my partner to feel like we can be playful. I need to practice it.
Right.
So let me remind myself, if all of it goes to shit, and, they end up being upset with me about something, it can be fixed. It can be remedied. You can work through that with your partner. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't mean you're a terrible person. It doesn't mean you're just mean and rude and not worthy of like getting extra chances.
Right.
Like I think deep down, especially if we deal with like anxiety or that fear of that reaction, we're thinking of the worst case scenario. My partner's just going to change their whole view on me and leave me
fuck it up.
or whatever. Yeah.
No, but it's a really Ryder, I like that you're willing to take a look at this, because I'll be honest with you, like I struggle when I'm in the presence of somebody that is a bit too stoic. That there is no sense of humor, there is no levity. I'm trying to lighten the mood a little bit or keep things, light and just kind of give the signal of like, hey, I'm an easygoing guy. Like, how are you today? That kind of thing. And whenever they're just sort of stern and just sort of like, I'm excellent. How are you today? And you're like, oh, have I done something wrong? It's very easy to misinterpret like that seriousness as like anger or like a disinterest in the person, irritated. And I've bumped into several people, I think, over the last few years that I've had like just life overlap with, whether it's teaching at the university or like through, recreational stuff or organizational stuff. And I'll have to like pick up that person's like rhythm and like remind myself, they don't do it. They don't banter. They don't small talk. That is a long ass 1 minute ride in that elevator with not a word being said. And they are like just locked in. And it's really difficult, I think, to deal with a person like that.
Do you find that all those people have any particular thing in common with each other? Other than
racially?
Just interacting with you?
I was going to say, Jim's the common denominator.
You're not wrong. That's probably part of it. I'm glad that the writer is looking at that and saying, hey, I want to increase my capacity for this a little bit, right? You don't have to be the court jester or anything, but like giving off the vibe of like, hey, I'm approachable, I'm playful with you, like you can make a joke and I'm cool. I think that's a really important skill. And it's also really difficult to teach, right?
Yeah.
Because like picking up on that like energy in the room and being playful and like putting that energy out and welcoming that from other people, putting people at ease. I don't know how you learn to do that. Like that is just something you can dial into.
Yeah. That's why I feel like with your partner here, maybe even telling her, hey, I do want to be more playful. That's my New Year's resolution or whatever. So I'm going to try it. Just give me feedback. I know it sounds a little awkward to ask your partner to do that. I've heard clients say that before. They're like, I don't want to have to tell my person what I want to do or whatever.
Self-conscious.
But just try if you feel safe enough. I mean, hopefully you do. But with someone that you still feel nervous about doing it because deep down you are like maybe worried there's going to be an overreaction. Yeah. But your mind's like, no, this person loves me. They care about me.
Yeah.
They're going to give me space to mess up, especially if they know I'm working on it. Like,
I like the idea of being honest with the spouse. Now, when you're dealing with work people and this idea of like, I find that I'm a little too serious with people, my coworkers. I'm not creating room to breathe here. In some industries, I kind of get that. Like I've met people that when they're on the clock, there's a very different vibe they're putting out.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not because they're an asshole. It's because like they're exacting or like,
Sure.
look, I'm not here to be your pal or
That's
whatever.
Yeah.
And it's always like, oh, okay, that could be right. Like, shit, if you're a surgeon, like, I don't want you playing grab ass with the other guy. Like, fucking do your job.
Well, not
man.
after you wash your hands.
Yeah, it's sterilizing. There's so much going on.
Wash them again.
Yeah. So I can imagine
Under the
that.
fingernails.
Like, I think we've all worked with people that take themselves pretty seriously and it feels like there's no air around them. And like that, I mean, I worked with a guy for a while like that and he's like this Vikings fan. I'm like, oh my God, just if they ever did bad, you're just going to explode.
Serenity now. Serenity now.
Well, yeah, you could always go back to, kind of some typical anxiety thoughts or coping skills where just imagine what is the worst case scenario. It's kind of like putting yourself in those awkward shows. Okay, what if everyone just stares at me? It's like, oh my God, that was a bad joke. Like maybe they will and they'll probably forget about it in 2 weeks or whatever, at work.
Part of this too, I think, is just people's nature, and there's just some people that are and I think a lot of it just kind of has to do with like your family, like the family that you're around. Like my my family, like both sides of like the extended family, are very humorous. I mean, don't take a whole lot of. I mean, there's like things that there's topics they will take seriously.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there's other things that there's a lot of cracking jokes.
Okay.
My dad's side of the family, especially, like when we all get together, it's a lot of joking around.
Yeah.
Pretty much it's a version of this podcast without the microphone.
Wow.
It's very much like that. And I have a very, very dry sense of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've even talked about it on the show, like around Laura or Laura's family.
Yeah.
Like I'm making jokes.
Different rhythm.
And
And they just start booing.
they're opening.
Boo.
Laura's mom's opening a gift. I'm like, oh, it's a handgun. I'm like, everybody's like, huh? That's weird.
I imagine Nick is
And no
Rodney
one's like
Dangerfield all of a
diving
sudden, adjusting his tie. No respect. Oh.
But like, it's something that
Tough rope.
I've just kind of learned that like, okay, they didn't grow up in that environment,
Right.
and I kind of have
That's
to.
a big part of it.
If I'm going to make a joke, I've got to make it clear that I'm joking.
Right.
Yeah, say it a
more
different
so-
way.
Yeah, more so than
I
carry
have
a
a
snare drum.
handgun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
Maybe I'll just do that from now on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't carry the snare drum. I'll just make the sound.
Yeah.
I like that.
You carry a kazoo.
Oh, there you go. Good. I'm a
Well,
big
yeah.
fan of like the extra layers of communication that like give away intention though. Like in your scenario, I'm communicating to people that I am trying to be funny. That was a joke. If it didn't land great, but like don't take me literally, right? And so sometimes
Well, and my approach is different for Laura than it would
Right.
be for Laura's family.
Right.
For Laura's family, I'm not going to have that conversation with them. I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to change my approach because it's just easier.
it's not working. Yeah. So, I'm going to fit the environment.
Whereas, with Laura, I've had to just be a little bit more like,
Right.
hey, I realize that this is my sense of humor. It's very dry. Sometimes it's hard to know whether or not I'm joking or
But
not. So
see,
it's
what
gonna
you're
have to have
saying
that
there,
conversation.
I love that. I love
Yeah.
this subtext, like the notes. And that's what I think about for the writer, because I think sometimes if you come off a certain way, in the writer's case, I come off very serious. I'm not good at the banter. I've probably signaled throughout my career and my life and all my relationships that like I'm not, approachable or playful or whatever. I'm not going to laugh with you. Then people don't try. And then I notice that like it's weird. Like our dynamics are not good. The writer's saying, hey, it's not good. I want it to get better. I like the idea of like giving people that note about yourself. Almost to laugh at yourself and be like, hey, sometimes like, and you can even teach yourself about it. Be like, sometimes I kind of come off like Spock, I can be a little bit like, science-y and just not like vibing with you. Please don't misinterpret that though. Sometimes people get that wrong idea, think I don't like you or something. It's not it.
Yeah, in some ways
I
it's
just-
kind of
I
like
don't like you, but
self-deprecating.
it's not-
like,
Not for what you
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
I just had this picture in my mind of Jim calling in people into his office at work and just, hey, I want to have a talk with you. I realize that you haven't been laughing at my jokes.
Yeah. I just
And
want
so I
to,
wanted
I'm
to talk
if I
to
could
you.
just
offended.
explain
Like,
it.
if I could,
Yeah. If you'll bring your attention to this graph.
HR
the
is
joke
there.
I told day one. You remember that, right?
It's not your fault. You're just naive
Yeah,
or
yeah, you don't
ignorant
get it.
of what I'm trying to accomplish here.
The joke is based on a different time in America where women were property. And so you got to have that premise Which clearly I'm not saying
This
they
month.
should be. I'm just saying there was a time.
No.
And
that
that time
word
was
was
better.
politically correct at one point.
Yeah.
It's a name of a country. I mean, come on. It's not weird to say out loud. Anyway,
Uganda.
the Congo. Yeah, no, but I like that idea of like giving away some subtext, which I've had to do because I've realized I've had scenarios where my personality is mismatching, somebody that is pretty stoic or I'm in an environment where I'm outnumbered by those folks. And so I will realize, okay, I need to give out that subtext. And so I'll give that away. And I have like my whole little canned way that I do that, where I'll tell people, hey, sometimes I try to break tension with humor, or if I'm feeling a little, anxious or something, I'll try to, make people laugh. Makes me feel a bit safer in the room. I apologize if that's ever, poorly timed or comes off the wrong way. I'll try to read the scenario well. And like, I'll give that away really quick. And usually people, oh, okay. It's kind of like when you get up to give a speech and you go, okay, everybody, I'm really nervous. And like the room's kind of rooting for you now. They're like, oh, yeah, no, you're doing great. Like, okay, thank you for telling us that.
Oh, like if you have to get up off a plane really quickly,
right?
You just tell them.
Let them know. Like,
Yeah,
you gotta take.
It's a good
shit.
example.
So, writer, you should walk up to people and tell them you have to take a shit. And I feel like if you just lead with that, they're going to accept who you are.
They'll understand,
and it will open up the door to you being
everyone
funnier.
poops.
Everybody poops sometimes.
Yeah.
Good advice.
I know. I don't think there is like a clear step 1, 2, 3 to that. It's really based on feeling, and that's why, I like everything that you said.
Well, I
Jim,
think if
the
you
pooping
are
thing.
stuck in that mode and there is no formula for how to break out of that, how to become funny. I do think letting people know what your intentions are goes a long way, because I don't know how to read you.
Sets that expectation.
And if you know that you're blocky and you're not very good at giving off that energy, letting me know that you are trying to is great, because then I go, oh, okay, so if I'm trying to be playful with you and you're not responding warmly to it, but you're telling me, please continue, please try to do that, because I'm trying to do better with that and catch your vibe and give it back.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, man. Like, I will now green light that. I will now behave in that way. But if I don't pick it up from you, I'm going to shut down and I'm going to pull back and I'm going to match your energy. If you're being serious, okay, now I am too.
Yeah, make
and we're going to lose the
assumptions.
friendliness, right? So, Ryder, I'm glad that you're willing to work on this. I think this has come up a lot more often, especially in the last 30 years. Congruent with also seeing a rise in autism. And I think that there's been a lot of more conversation about, there's been a lot more about like, hey, autistic sensibilities. And, sometimes like, that population does talk about this as like, I do not naturally pick up all these undertones of a conversation and body languages. And there's a lot I'm missing. And so then I can just come off as wooden. And I'm not, though, like I want to engage. And so this is something a lot of people do talk about now. And I like this strategy of saying, hey, it's something I'm going to work on. I'm pushing myself to do it. My advice on that, writer, is just give people the knowledge that you are trying to work on this while you're talking to them, because we need those stage cues to like understand, like, okay, I welcome humor. Please be playful with me. I don't always show that I'm with you on that, and I'm working on my expression. And
that
like,
takes a lot of vulnerability
it does.
too to say that.
I don't think anybody gets shitty about that. I think they hear that and go, oh, okay, man, thanks for telling me.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I feel like I have social permission now to play around.
Yeah.
And I feel like I know you've given me the legend of how to read this map. And like, I needed that. Otherwise, I would have misinterpreted you.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ryder, good luck on this. Definitely continue your research on it. If you do find any great resources, send them our way, because boy, would I like to gather more information about that. There's a lot of folks that I think could benefit from it. And if you're not already in the Discord, well, you are a supporter. I'm sure there will be a great conversation on this episode, because I know there's a lot of folks in our Discord that have shared very similar stuff. So that's something I think a lot of folks talk about working on. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking about a frustrating father. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Oh, shit. I hit the wrong button.
No, let it ride.
No. I hit the wrong button. I screwed that up. Let's just start the show over.
Yes. Fuck yeah. Oh, come on.
No, you're not getting bailed out an hour in.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty Scoop. Hey, thanks for the Christmas card, Smitty.
Oh, yeah. That was nice.
Mason Miller. Did you go?
I was
one
going
too.
to say, I didn't.
Yeah, the hockey family.
I didn't get one, Smitty.
Smitty Scoop. Mason Miller. Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris T, Monaco, Oscar Swanrose, Hannah Marie, Emma Kane, and Myra. And if you want to become a therapy producer, You can do so by heading over to patreon.com/therapy and signing up over there. I'll share my Christmas card with you.
Thank you. I'll take
You
it
can
part
have
of the
on
year.
weekends.
Like part of the year hanging on my fridge.
Yep. All right. Wood.
More wood.
We're back on the wood.
We did not do great at that.
I feel
no one did.
hard. Well. That was one of them.
Yeah.
Poplar.
Jim.
I'll
Jim
take
wood.
hardwood. What are the categories again? It's old wood.
Old, exotic, hard,
And delicious.
and
Old
good.
exotic
All right, I'll take
hardwood.
hardwood, please, for 500.
Last one. 4,000 N is the force required to break the average femur.
Okay.
Which wood has an equivalent Janka rating?
4,000 newtons.
Doesn't say that.
Hey!
It just says N.
I believe that's correct, though.
So what wood has about the same repulsive force as a human femur?
Which is in what part of your body?
The femur is in the
Femoral part of the
bones
body.
connected to the neck bone.
not
I'm
very-
going to say femur. Yeah,
Femur
somewhere in
bone.
there. I'm going to
neck bones
go...
of femur.
Oh, look, give me options. I need options.
Sycamore, cherry, paper birch, English oak.
You know what? I want cherry. I'll bet you that's it.
Okay.
All right.
How much would you bet?
1 point, please.
No, it is paper birch.
All right. Jim has -1 point.
Damn it.
All right.
He did bet it.
I did bet that
He
point.
did bet.
Yep. Shit, I'm in the hole.
He was up one last time.
Yeah.
so,
All
Borrow it
right.
from my account, please.
Whitney.
Yes. Cool.
You want hardwood's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Good wood, exotic wood, or old wood?
Exotic.
Exotic.
Yeah.
I don't like these because they're hard to read.
Yeah.
Until the 1960s, this hardwood was widely used as shaft bearings in hydroelectric turbines and ship propellers.
Huh.
They're made out of wood. I'll be damned.
That's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Ships were made out of wood.
Yeah.
The 1960s?
Sure.
I mean, yes,
ships are
there
still
were.
made out
I
of
think
wood.
they're
I don't know
still
what to
made
tell
out
you.
It's
Like
still
colonies?
blow your mind,
Today.
dude. Houses are also still made out
Okay,
of
you're going to want options, obviously.
Yes.
Ligum vita,
Oh.
ebony,
ligum.
boxwood, or pink box. They make donuts.
I mean,
Did you
pink
say the
box is
second one
the
was ebony?
obvious
Yeah,
answer.
Ebony and pink box. There's some red herrings in here.
Yes, pink box is it.
And
That's what I'm
ligum?
guessing.
I think they're all sexual. Are you going with pink box?
Yes.
It is ligum vita.
That was my second guess.
Ligum that
Was
vita.
it, though?
No.
All right,
Ebony was.
Jacob.
He could steal the game right here.
Give me old wood.
All right. Woody trees first appeared. I think that was he was an old time country singer.
Yes.
Woody
Woody
Yeah, yeah.
trees. Yeah.
Bluegrass,
tree.
I believe.
Woody trees
He
first
had a duo
appeared-
group with it was called Trees and Guthrie.
That's right.
Yep.
Woody
exactly.
trees and the Nashville Trio.
Woody trees first appeared during this geological period. Oh, do you want options?
I think all of us
Yes.
Take
Yes,
options.
I do.
just say options for everyone.
Take options.
How great would it have been if I just been like, Paleolithic?
That's what I was going to say.
All right. Cambrian, Devonian, carboniferous,
Carbonara.
carboniferous,
Carbonara.
and Jurassic.
What was the first one?
Cambrian.
That one.
No.
What was the second one?
Denovian.
That one.
Yes.
Hey!
See, got it. Ding, 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 ding.
Well done.
All right, I'm not
Well
gonna play.
Done. This is not the day.
Nick doesn't want to play.
I
I don't want to talk about wood anymore.
No more what?
The oldest known example of wood substitute or dildo. I had to. My eyes.
The dark
are,
theater
Yeah.
is just
that's
playing
dildo.
in.
Yep. It's probably the exotic.
Is how old?
How does the
Wood,
dildo?
wood
Oldest
substitute.
wooden dildo.
Wait, the
2000
oldest wooden dick substitute? Is that what we're talking
Wait.
The
about?
oldest
Re-
known
re-
example of a wood substitute or dildo.
Ah.
Apparently, dildo is another
Oh,
word
wood
for wood
substitute.
substitute.
Oh,
This all
okay.
checks out.
Yep. Okay.
Go.
I'm
We've learned
learning
something.
A lot.
We did.
This is great.
Is how old? 2,000, 6,000, 13,000, or 28,000 years?
oh, it's going to be old.
I just want to clear this up. Was it put into someone?
It has to have been. I think that's the context. And I would go as old as you possibly can.
I'm going to say 6.
Well, I'm
Are
gonna
we
say,
all getting options?
I'm going to say 28,000.
I think that's a
Okay.
solid move.
Do you have a guess,
And
Jacob?
it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, I would have gone for the oldest one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
The first artifact we had was a dick. There's
Yeah.
no way.
No, that's not.
The oldest one was what? Was it 28?
Huh?
That was
Well,
the
that was the
oldest
highest
option.
one?
28,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you, Pops?
I think they found like sex toys in
Yes.
ancient Egypt.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first thing
There's
you
the
build
little
when you have a
sex drawings
society.
on the wall
Mm-hmm.
and
Those are
the
actually
volcano that blew
cats,
up in Italy
oh.
that I'm blanking on right
Vesuvius?
now. Yes, that one.
Oh,
And
even that sounds dirty.
Pompeii. There it is.
Pompeii.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Wait,
right.
yeah,
Sex
Vesuvius
room.
isn't in Italy.
Like
Where's
sex room.
Vesuvius?
That is.
It's in
It is in Italy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one. Just
Italians.
that one
Just
blew
not
up
that
in
one.
Pompeii.
Widely
Yeah.
celebrated for their sexual
Oh, right.
volcanoes.
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm winning. Frustrating father.
You have negative points.
That's not how I remember it. Hello, friends. I apologize in advance as this will likely be long and rambly.
yeah, Will.
Yeah. Right show for it.
Yeah.
That's how I like my sex. Long and rambly.
And wooden.
And with Jim narrating.
Frustrating father is the name of
Narrating
this
about
one.
his father.
Long and rambling.
I live in San Francisco and my parents are in San Diego.
Oh, it's so long and rambly.
It's so long. I call my mom daily on my drive to work. I started doing this when her dog passed away and she was lonely. My dad travels for work a lot. And I call my dad on Fridays. Recently, my father, who's 72 years old, fell and broke his C1 vertebra in 5 places.
Oh, goodness.
Yikes. He was having seizures and things were very touch and go for a while. I took time off work and came down to help support my mother while my father was in the hospital and again when he was transitioning home. He's now home and it's been a complete nightmare. He's stubborn, not following doctor's directions. He's rude and selfish, usually taking out all that emotion on my mom. He's basically acting like these health issues are only happening to him, but the rest of the family has upheaved their lives for him. My mom vents to me about all the stuff she's putting up with. When I talk to my dad, he acts like everything's fine. My issue is, because I know what's happening, but can't confront my dad because it would embarrass and upset my mom, it's hard making my weekly calls to my dad. They feel very disingenuous, and I'm trying to swallow anger the entire time. It's exhausting resenting my father in this way, but I don't know what to do. Thanks in advance, Dread, and pronouns are he and him.
Have y'all ever had to take care of a parent
Like a
to that
parent
level?
or-
Like, yeah.
Yeah, not
Not
really.
long term.
Yeah, injured
haven't
family
either.
member. Not
Yeah.
really. Have you?
No, I was just curious if anyone
Yeah.
else has been through something like
I mean,
that.
I've
It's
had two for like
emotionally
short
draining.
little blasts. Maybe a week at a time.
I was going to say, like, how long is that a week?
Probably less than a week.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
Like
tough.
end of life stuff, that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I don't know what this guy's going through.
Well, and there's so many layers to this,
Guy?
right?
Who- I've
Dread
missed-
is he, him.
Dread, okay, good.
Yeah.
But like, there's so many layers to this because on one hand, I see the idea of being protective of family members. There's another part of me that feels like, look, they've been married for a long time. He's going through a health crisis. She is fully capable of speaking for herself if it comes to that. Is it my, duty to somehow shield her or like, kind of deal with him? I don't know. Like there's a lot of layers to that.
Yeah. This could fall in one of those categories too, where mom is venting just to vent. Like she
Right.
loves your dad. And it probably is not a great dynamic. I see lots of older couples,
Sure.
especially that generation. They don't have great dynamics.
Right.
We've had a lot of people
They're
write in
still
about those
together.
dynamics,
It
and
is
they're
what
still
it is.
together. They've learned how to interact. And you may not have seen that before, but now that you're there, you're seeing it. And so mom is probably venting to you. That doesn't mean you have to fix it. Maybe
Right.
helping is just listening to mom and saying, man, I'm sorry. That sounds really tough. Now, the dilemma is that it's pissing you off because you care about your mom. And that makes a lot of sense to feel like upset towards your dad for that.
Right.
And if you're getting the brunt of any of that, like, hey, all of us have upheaved our lives for you and you're just being an asshole. The first thing I would say, and I know you probably don't want to hear this, and that's fine. You can be mad, but your dad has had his life,
destroyed.
totally flipped upside down.
Yeah.
I would imagine if he was working up until this
And
accident
traveling for work. Very active lifestyle.
Went from that to like bedridden. I'm
Yeah.
guessing. I don't really know. I guess you know more of that, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In his 70s.
In
too.
his 70s,
And you
like
decline fast once that happens.
your body isn't like rebounding like it
Yeah.
used to, and you feel helpless. So you end up taking that out on other people, especially when
Yeah.
you've been the one who's been like the rock in your family, or
Sure.
kind of the support system for others.
Yeah.
Now you need that support, and that is a very difficult transition. And people in their 70s, I know you'll be shocked to hear this too, they are not great at managing those emotions.
Sure. Yeah.
So that it comes out being an asshole.
No,
Like,
I mean, and that's another thing too, is how emotional it is to get injured. Like, I was talking to my kids and they were reminding me that I think Christmas, it was last Christmas, because Christmas Eve last year, we were all meant to go over to my brother-in-law's house, and I leaned over in the living room to pick up a controller off of an ottoman.
did you get a back spasm?
Yes, I slipped a fucking
Shocking,
disc or some
right?
horrible
You're like,
ass
I can't
thing.
move.
I thought I'd been shot.
Yes.
Like, I mean,
I'm
I
never gonna walk again.
Yeah, I'll never walk again. I fall to the floor. My family just had to leave me there.
Yes, they can't pick you.
on the living room floor.
They didn't have to. They chose
They
to.
chose to, and they just left me because there was no other option. And I'm just
Your
like,
son could have picked you up.
I was in he was fireman carried me. But no, I remember being in so much pain, and like it's hard not to be rude. I remember
Yeah.
like I was, and it was
Oh, yeah.
Christmas, and my wife had to like challenge me last year, like, hey man, like dial it fucking down, like, and I'm like, I know, I am so sorry. It is Christmas. That is not the vibe. But I am in fucking misery. I can't take care of myself. I can't get up and give gifts. Like, I'm just sitting here in agony the whole time
Yeah.
and like trying to pretend I'm okay. And like the emotion that
That's
goes
a
with
great
injury
idea.
and pain
I'm going to do that next Christmas.
is very, very hard. Pretend that you slip a disc.
Jacob's taking notes, furiously
They'll be
writing.
like, everybody leave me the fuck alone.
I hurt my back.
I thought you
I can't.
meant you were going to hurt his back.
Yeah.
that too.
That too. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
why
both in
not?
there. But yeah, I relate to that. That, the pain is emotional. And, I don't want to just frame Dad as a terrible guy. I agree that we have to also appreciate, and I don't think that writers, being minimizing of that or dismissive. Obviously, writer and family have been all in on Dad's care.
Yeah.
But it is so hard to appreciate how emotional and how much it affects mental health to have a very serious injury. I mean, it's devastating.
Yeah, so I agree with everything that both of you have said as far as like the emotional piece where you've got the injury and then you've got the anger. And then really what's underneath the anger is probably that helplessness.
Yeah.
And also fear.
Yes.
Like, oh shit, this is new. I don't know what to do with this.
What if
How
I
is this
don't
go-
recover?
What if I don't recover? Like,
Right.
there's a lot of scary shit that the person's going through.
Yes.
And the advice that I always give people in situations like this is if you're writing in or you're asking for help saying, this guy is a jerk and I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
If you rephrase that to this guy is scared or this guy is helpless,
Yes.
then I'll bet you already know the answer to that.
That's a
like,
good
how would
point.
you treat your dad if you, instead of looking at him as being angry and resentful and mean, look at him as being hurt, scared,
Yeah.
and helpless?
Yes.
If you look at him
And
that
resentful and mean.
way, I mean, if you look at him that way, I'll bet you have some ideas of like how you would react differently to things.
Yes.
Here's how I would approach this situation, or here's how I would talk to him in this situation. You probably already have some ideas, Dread. So I
Yeah.
think that would probably be my advice, is to start there and look at it from that perspective.
How do we feel about Dread, pointing out, look, it's hard because I still try to get on the phone with Dad and I have that weekly check-in, and it's gotten a little bit fake because I am also talking to Mom, and I'm aware that you're putting Mom through a lot, but we're not talking about that. And it doesn't seem like Dad is being a dick to Dread, but Dad is terrorizing Mom. And so Dread is kind of in this place of like, well, we seem to be getting along. And whenever I ask how things are going, Dad's like dismissive, like, oh, it's fine. And it's like, dude, no, it's not. Like, Mom was just crying on the other line. How do we feel about Dread, I don't know, acknowledging elephant in the room? Or do we feel like, it's best to let Dad choose the kind of relationship he wants to have right now? And he likes not telling you what's going on, and that's good for him.
Calling it out right away would not be my first strategy. Again, I think my first strategy would be, I would just talk to him as though, like, let's just have a conversation about kind of what you're going through as far as like this being a scary thing. How are you dealing with that?
Yeah.
And starting that conversation, because you may be the person now that he feels open to having that conversation with. He can't talk to anybody else about it, but maybe talking to you about it. And then he kind of feels like, oh, I can talk to my son about this, and maybe that'll start to, calm things down around mom.
Yeah. You're reminding me when you say that I have met with, clients who've experienced that where they, their parents like won't share their hardships with their kids or even friends.
Right.
They like keep that from their children. It's not and I don't have children, but Jim could probably attest to this. Even if your kids are 30 years old, you're not, and you have that adult relationship with them, they see you differently, but really you still see them as your child.
Right, yeah.
And you aren't going to put your stuff on them because you spent their whole life growing up for 20 years, not putting your stuff on them, like not putting those emotional things on them. So it's hard to start doing that as an older adult and say, oh, you know what? I am scared to your kid. You're like, no, I'm protector. I'm the person. Like, I got this. You be the child. I'm the parent. So I wonder if that's where dad's coming from. But to like pick up on what Nick was saying, I think I would probably talk to mom about it first and say, hey, I really don't like the way dad's treating you. You could ask her if it's okay if you talk to him.
Yeah.
She might say yes. Like if you went behind her back, she wouldn't like that.
Right.
But she might be like, you know what? That would be great. Just don't mention that I've talked to you, but like, I don't know. How
like, mom, would you want some support in this? It feels like you're kind of carrying all these burdens privately and nobody in the family really knows. How would you feel about having a group conversation about this the next time I visit?
Yeah. So I think asking mom that. The second thing is, kind of what Nick was saying, like asking dad, hey, this must be really tough for you. If I were in your shoes, I'd be really scared, kind of normalizing some of those features. And that then opens up the door for him to maybe say like, oh, well, no, I don't feel scared, but I feel something else, or like, or even if he just says I'm fine, that gives you a chance to push back a little and say, I don't know, that I would have a hard time being fine if I broke my back and had seizures and I'm out of the hospital. Like, that's a lot of change, and let him sit with that, because that's you saying it's okay to talk to me without saying mom's been talking to me.
Right. And, this kind of condition, Nick and I worked for a while attached to a really fascinating program that treated chronic pain. And so this was taking psychotherapy approaches and applying them to chronic pain. And obviously the overlap of that with the opioid crisis, because a lot of these folks it was a rehab. They were there because they had a pill addiction. But our program specialized in dealing with folks that legitimately did have chronic pain. And that's what caused all this. And it really is an interesting dynamic when you're trying to confront the emotionality of this, the limitation of this, the life alteration of this, that every day you are going to be destined to feel this. And there's very few options that we can do to take away the pain or make your day better without decreasing your functioning, like giving you a bunch of painkillers. And so it puts this person in such a unique dilemma. And as a therapist, you can feel really powerless to try to help them, right? Because on one hand, you need to give them that cathartic release. This needs to be a place where they don't have to pretend to be okay, where they can just have hot tears and be enraged and curse God and go through all of it. And you want that to happen here in therapy in the hope that there'll be less of it when they get back into the real world. But they have that burden on them. And I can see that falling on mom, where it's like he's confiding in mom about how shitty everything is. And he's
his only
telling
support
her,
person.
and he's blaming her, and he's angry at her. And it sucks because there's just so much pain and rage that's part of this. And there's something almost therapeutic about getting it out, or even being angry at somebody else, or like yelling at them because they're like, oh, do you want a sandwich? It's like, of course I want a sandwich. I have to take my pills, don't I? And I can't take the pills unless you make me a sandwich. Why would you even ask that stupid ass question? You don't even fucking care. And it's like, Jesus
Idiots.
Christ. Yeah, I was just trying to give you a sandwich. But like, he's angry at everything, right? Yeah. And like, clearly a rational person would know you've done nothing wrong by offering a sandwich. But the powerlessness, right? And so even when I think about it like therapeutically, I mean, dad talking to a therapist, which now in the modern era, with Zoom and phone, is a very accessible thing. And I don't know if that's
like a really
something,
good point, yeah.
Could we bring that up to dad and say, hey dad, you've been through so much, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but like, I'm a big mental health advocate. I listened to a dumbass podcast about that. And like, I was thinking more and more about how you've been through so much, and maybe you should talk to a therapist about some of this too. And maybe they, I know they can't make it better, but you're going through so much, dad, and maybe you don't need to always be going through that alone or just with mom, because mom's part of it. She's in your world, and so maybe she can't always take any of that burden away. So I don't know, writer. I mean, that could be one more thing to nudge. Maybe dad would get something out of that, but that kind of therapy, man, is hard because you're just stuck, you know, and there's nothing you can practically offer this person. Like, what are you going to do? Teach them mindfulness to deal with a shattered fucking spine?
No.
You know, it's just so much pain.
That was going to be the next thing I suggested.
Oh, shit. Oh, did I step on it? Oh, I'm
back
sorry.
it up.
Start the show over, Jacob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go.
Every time.
He'll do it if he asks nice.
No, he won't.
Anyway, any last call on thoughts on this one? Anybody have any other notes?
No.
Yeah, it's a tough case.
There was just one other little thing, just boundaries. I mean, I know it's general, but that can be you with calling your dad. I mean, say you bring all some of these things up to him and he's still not changing. Like, you don't have to call and talk to him. I know that's hard to say, and that depends on how you feel about that situation. Some people feel guilt not doing that, but you can call less, you know, less often, every other week. And if he's like, hey, I haven't heard from you, be like, yeah, well, you just keep telling me everything's fine. It doesn't seem like everything's fine. Like, you can give a general answer to that, and it might open a conversation.
That's a really good point.
And the other hand is sharing with your mom that she can have some boundaries too, to say, like, if she notices the hurtful words or things that are being said, encourage her and give her some examples of how to respond and react, and say, you know, if dad does the thing, of course I want my pills, you can say, don't talk to me that way. I don't appreciate it. Here's your sandwich.
Yeah, and you know what? You bring up a really good point that I can't believe we missed, which is mom is confiding in you about her truth and what she's going through. If you can steer mom into a therapy office, that would be tremendous.
That would be
for
awesome
her.
too.
Because honestly, like if I had mom on the line, we'd be right now going through a lot of intervention skills, right? Because we've had to work with really angry people and like addicts and all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And like there are ways to mitigate an angry person's behaviors while also hearing them and like trying to give them relief. And we do need to talk about boundaries and like not owing anybody your pain or your suffering for their growth or their healing. Like there is some important work that could be done with mom. And writer, that could alleviate some of your sense of responsibility where you're like, I don't like mom just being a punching bag. I feel like maybe I'm supposed to step up on dad and like push him back, but like obviously he's wounded and he's an old man and I don't want to hurt it and I don't want to tip it. Exactly. Empowering mom with some realistic tools, like saying, hey mom, you know, I did some research, you know, because mom's in her 70s, I think, as well. And, you know, sometimes it could be daunting trying to find a therapist no matter who you are, even if you have great mastery over the tech. But maybe doing that research to say, mom, you know, I looked up some people in your area, found some people that might be a good fit. I emailed you them. Why don't you click on them, take a look, because I really want to get you some coaching and just support as you're going through this. Because this has to be horrible for her too.
Absolutely.
You know, like her lifelong partner is really destroyed here. That's got to affect their finances, got to affect like her sense of stability. Her whole life is becoming a caretaker now. There's a lot going on. So if we can get mom into a support group or into therapy, that would be tremendous, writer.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick break and answer some more questions about wood. When we come back, we're going to talk about moving on from a mugging. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Smitty, Scoop, Mason Miller, Tess Miller, Byler T, Paris, Team Monaco, Oscar Swandros, Anna Marie, Emma Kane, and Myra. Would you like to sponsor the show? Become a therapy producer at patreon.com/therapy.
Time to make my woody comeback.
Let's see. Jim.
You can do it, I believe.
I'm going to give you some exotic wood.
Yeah.
More mispronunciation.
Yep. Why
Shaped
not?
like a corkscrew.
The dildo one wasn't an exotic.
That was exciting.
Okay. This wood used to make the world's first This wood was used to make the world's first wooden satellite.
Huh? What? Wooden satellites?
Go on.
Sputnik was wood? Give me options.
Ligam Vita,
These again.
That one's
Ligamavita.
always the answer. It's got to be that one.
Hanokai,
Hanukkah.
Honoki,
Okay.
Palawania,
These are cities in Hawaii.
plywood. Finally, one I can fucking pronounce.
Give me plywood.
No.
If it's
Damn it.
Ligam
No.
Vitas, is it?
No.
Okay. I was like, I swear that's always the answer.
It's Honokai.
Ah.
Duh.
I want the backstory of this wooden satellite. Now I need to know.
Okay.
Lingosat is the world's first wooden satellite launched into space in 2024.
What? Oh, okay.
What?
Recent.
Well, that's new.
Okay. Okay.
10 centimeter cube.
Man, inflation is killing us.
I
We're
was
going to
like-
send up
we're-
wooden satellites now.
We're
Jeez.
working backwards.
Yeah.
But it was out of
Reverting.
Japan.
That checks out.
Way to get in there, though, Japan. Good for you.
Lingosat's mission is to test wood's viability as a material for space construction.
Okay.
It's more
It's part of a
sustainable,
50-year
maybe.
plan to build timber houses on the moon and Mars.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Huh.
Wow.
That's interesting.
There you go, listeners. You tuned into Pod Therapy and you learned something.
More
Yeah.
things. We're learning all kinds of
Despite our
things.
best efforts.
All right, Whitney.
Yes.
This wood accounts for nearly 70% of all timber produced annually.
Oh, boy. Get options.
Yeah, options, because
Yeah.
I don't know shit about wood.
Pine, apple, pineapple,
Oh, yes.
maple, cherry.
And it's what most wood is. Like if you go to Home Depot,
That's how I'm hearing it.
That's what I'm hearing.
Most
as well.
timber.
70% of the timber produced annually. So, yes, I guess whatever is logged.
Yeah.
and say them again. Pine.
Pine, apple, maple, or cherry.
I feel like I know it.
Pine.
I feel like you think you know it.
I think it's pine, too.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess pine
Are
because
you
Jim
sure?
said so.
Can you-
yes.
Don't let him talk
Can you
about it.
say
Can't
the
trick me
question
now.
one more time?
No.
The wood accounts. This
Uh-huh.
wood accounts for nearly 70% of the timber produced annually.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's pine.
I like
is
pine
my
now, yeah.
guess. Yeah.
It is pine.
That's a lot of apple. There's just no way.
Well, I wanted him to say the question one more time because it was like, wait, is it the most trees like grown
Yeah,
each
is there a
year?
technicality?
But no, timber.
Timber.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. Yay.
I could also tell from the timbre of his voice.
That it was
So
piney.
smart.
Yeah, his voice was
So we
All
keep
right,
him
Jacob.
around.
An extract from the bark of this African tree is commonly used as an aphrodisiac and treatment for erectile dysfunction.
Yeah, it's the fuck tree.
All right, give them to me.
Is it cinnamon? Oh, yohimbe,
Gesundheit.
yohimbe, sandalwood, or bloodwood?
Oh shit!
Oh, let's go
Bloodwood
bloodwood.
sounds good.
I mean,
yeah.
for
That's what I would
erectile
guess.
dysfunction.
Yeah.
I thought cinnamon was like a home remedy for ED. Oh, that was
I
one of
don't
the
know.
things.
Now,
It is yohimbe.
I'm glad,
Spell
I'm glad I
that.
made you say it
Okay,
again.
it's yo.
Yo.
It's pronounced spelled yo, YOHIMBE.
Fuck me, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if I take some of that bark, I can.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So you got
That's
one
fun.
for yourself. there?
Last one. The Beatles described this wood as good wood in a song released in 1965.
Ooh, you got this, Nick.
It's going no options.
No, shut up. Everybody shut the fuck up. I gotta hear the song.
Taking off the headphones.
God damn it.
Good, you can't hear us anymore. Let's talk shit about the Vikings.
It is Norwegian wood. Got it. Norwegian wood.
Ooh, for 2 points. That's
Let me,
like 5
Going
points
for
if
it.
you
Yeah, I know. In this game.
Yes.
Nice.
Got it.
So what song
Oh,
is
Yeah,
this
sing
day is
it.
turning around for Nick.
The
This song
name
is
of
called-
the
the song
song?
is
Yeah.
called Norwegian Wood. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep. It was also
Give us a Disney song.
It was also
and
the,
Jim
Yeah, I know.
Wilds
Yeah,
on
we'd
there.
fuck them up.
the
Yeah.
album title. That was a good
Oh,
album.
wow.
So Emma's working on trivia for us, and I think it's Disney.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I got to brush up
I'll
on
just
anything
beat you
new.
again.
I feel like I'm going to do well. So I'm.
I know the
got back
song one.
I just got back from Disneyland.
Oh.
You buried the
and
lead with that plane story.
there was a whole lot of stuff in Disneyland that I was like, what is this?
Oh, you're just not
no.
caught up
Yeah,
anymore.
Yeah.
These
that
are
sucks.
whole new shows.
Yeah.
Did you go to Star Wars Land?
We did.
That's pretty wild.
Was it
It's
good?
amazing.
Yeah. Did you ride the crazy
Oh,
ass
we did.
ride?
Yes, of course. We rode the rides. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that one's so cool.
No, yeah. It was really impressive.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it's insane.
I really want to go as a Star Wars fan. I just don't want to have to deal with Disney.
Yeah, that's
You know, like,
my
I
vibe
just-
too. I'm like, oh, that'd be fun.
If there
I'm
was
not-
a way to just dip in
How
just
do you
that
do
part.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just have to go during like a slow time.
Yeah.
When are the slow
Yeah,
times
when
of
is that?
Super Bowl.
Disney?
Well, during the week helps. Basically,
Okay.
like during the week during school.
Yeah.
That's a big chunk.
That's-
surely.
that's
That's
a-
fine. I don't have kids.
That's
I
a
don't
fine
know.
rule of thumb.
There's-
That's how we used to when we went to Disney all the time. That's when we would go.
Yeah.
We'd go like
Wednesday.
Wednesday in November.
There's there's a website where they show you like how populated it is, and I think that the
I think it's called
lowest-
Disneyland.com.
That might be it. Yeah. But they-
Little known website.
the slowest day of the year, I think, is Father's Day. Because dads are not trying to fucking go to Disney.
Dads are like,
That's a
nah,
good point.
That's not what we're doing on my day.
nah.
So I think the slowest day of the year is Father's Day. So
We went and
go
met
check that out.
my brother and sister-in-law and their kids there. They did a little West Coast trip, and SJ and I surprised them and met them we surprised the kids.
Okay.
My brother and sister-in-law knew, we all set it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, we surprised them and met them at Disney and everything, and had a really good time.
Aw.
But watching my my in-laws, watching my brother and sister-in-law deal with their older children, like college age. The youngest is in middle school, but like the oldest is college age, and like watching them deal with that, I was like, this is a lot.
It's a lot.
And it's a lot for both
Really?
parents, but I mean
Yeah.
for dad and mom too, to like deal with
Yes.
people in Disneyland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
Because then everybody's got opinions, right?
That's
That's like, oh, what should we do next? Well, I want to. No, that one's too long.
Yeah.
Because you're making these
Yeah.
big decisions. Because if you go get in a line,
You only have so
that's
much
an
time.
hour or two of your life. Like, you can only do so many of these. Did you guys get the stupid ass lightning passes?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just terrible.
Jacob Smug, yeah.
I have opinions on it. I have
good?
opinions on the lightning passes.
I'm like, are they good?
They are to some degree. They need to be worked on.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole thing to me just pisses me off because you know what? Here we go again.
Here we go.
You know, it's just
Fucking Andy
Where's
Rooney.
Jim's Tales of Woes of Nick today?
it's just like it's just set up where it's like, oh, life is going to be an inconvenience unless you got money. You know, like if you're wealthy enough, then you shouldn't have to be inconvenienced for anything.
No. It's no.
Yeah.
No, because it's still very inconvenient.
That's what I was
It's
going to say. Isn't
horrible.
it not
Yeah, no, I
great?
get
You
it.
spend
Like,
more
the
money.
thing is, I'm like part of my critique of this is there are aspects of it that should be better.
Yeah, I mean,
Paid the
because
money.
it's no, I get that, but
Yeah.
like it's just like you go.
He's Thanosing this.
You're at a theme park.
I am, like-
there's not a way short of spending the thousands of dollars required to get like the guide where you
The
don't have to wait
VIP.
any of the lines.
Yeah.
Short of that, because I've done that. That is, oh my God, money can buy shit for you.
Yeah, because
This is maybe slightly. It's not slightly. It is the same amount of inconvenience as a normal ticket, but you might ride a few extra rides that you wouldn't have if you just bought the regular ticket, because you'd be in line for a little bit longer.
I guess I'm just saying that there's stuff like this that just irritates me.
Oh, it
like
bothers
going,
me.
Like going
That's
to
fine.
the airport, and it's like, okay, well, if you pay us this much money, you can cut in front of these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, oh,
Yeah.
but these people paid extra money, so they get to cut in front of these people.
Yes.
Yeah.
And these people paid even
Yeah.
more money, so they get to cut in front
It's
of these
all a
people.
shuffle.
They don't even
game.
go to
And
the
it's like-
airport.
Well, and you've created
They go to the
problems,
hangar.
and then
Yeah.
you offer us the opportunity to pay extra money for you to solve them.
Yeah. That's
right.
And it's just bullshit. No, I'm with you 100%. I would never get those lightning passes.
All right, so-
except that we went for free, and then I was like, okay, my only expense is these stupid lightning passes. But
Okay.
I think what they're going to do eventually is make it where like you're just going to want to have the lightning passes.
yeah, it's just
If everyone has
put
a
it into the
lightning
damn
pass, though, it
ticket.
That's
becomes
it,
the
though.
regular line.
Then you have a
But-
super lightning pass.
But no, that is kind of
Exactly.
because the way it works, in theory, at least, you could set it up where if everyone had it, it would be much better.
Yeah,
Oh.
Because if everyone had it, now everybody is in a virtual line, so everybody just
they're
shows up
virtual
at their appointment time, and then they do it. And like it really could be streamlined very well.
That's
I think.
cool.
you just
I think.
Yeah.
you land, and
But
this
there's
is your
no
5
money
minute
in that.
window.
I mean, there is though, because you hike
Get
up
it
the
right.
ticket prices for it across the board. If you make it something where literally every person coming in is buying that extra thing, there's a fuck ton of money in that.
Well,
I think this is an example of something where like you could make it really good, and that would just benefit both the customer and the person making the money off of it.
They're paying more, but then getting a better experience.
That's it.
Yeah.
See,
Like if
Everyone is,
if it was
though.
an extra $100
Just to get
and
a
you were
ticket.
like, for an extra $100 on top of your ticket price, which is already prohibitively expensive for a lot of people. I mean, it's a day at Disneyland is not a cheap day.
That's what I hear.
Or, hear me out.
Yeah.
Thanos.
This is where
Half
you're
the
starting to
people
win me
get
over, buddy.
lightning passes.
Look
and
at how
This is where
fast
I'm
these
starting to
fucking
see
lines
it.
are going.
I did every ride, and I was out by lunch.
50,000 people.
You're starting to win me. I mean, you seemed like a psycho earlier, but now I'm kind of getting
You
it.
spoke Jim's language, Disney.
I think if you're willing to budge on the shopping cart thing, we could find some common ground.
No, he's dead already.
Where do you want to park? Anywhere you want to. There's plenty of space.
Yeah, it's fine. Everybody's fine. You know, it's two thoughts on this Disneyland thing. One, I had read somewhere on the internet, because I think I was stuck in one of these lines. I was like, why is this a thing? Like, how is there any financial benefit to locking me in this line where I can't spend any money for an hour? But then when I looked into it, there was an explanation online that said they're getting around the fire code this way. Like, the park can host like 10x more humans because they're stored away in these safe zones where you can anticipate there will be these percentages in every zone.
If so many are in
there
that
will
line.
always be safe transit. And you couldn't possibly, like, if all the humans were released from all the lines at once, you couldn't have them accessing every vendor and every shop. There are too many. But there are too many because they're stored away in these lines, so you can increase the maximum capacity of the park, which means you sell more $300 tickets. So that becomes their mode. Like, yeah, they could solve the line problem. There's a lot of ways to. The lines actually are some kind of fire code thing where you've stored humans away. You can increase your
the only
capacity.
way to solve the line problem in a
Thanos.
theme park. Okay, so one of the two ways to solve a line problem in a theme park is like you either have to have more rides,
Right.
Yeah.
so there's more options spread out, or you limit the number of people coming
That's
in,
what
which is kind of what they're doing now.
They are having to.
You cannot, like when we walked in the other day, the ticket booths at the front were just closed.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
you
and
buy
you-
online.
Everybody had a reservation,
And you make a
every
reservation.
single person there that day had a
have
reservation
to.
that they had set up beforehand.
Interesting.
Lightning Pass hack, though, that we figured out when we last went, because when you get a Lightning Pass, basically you have to use it to make a reservation on another ride.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you've used it, your ticket's occupied. Like if you say, okay,
For
I'm
2
putting
hours.
it, I'm putting it on the
you get
Matterhorn.
one every 2 hours.
So you
or
can't-
until you ride the ride,
or
whichever
until you
comes
ride
first.
it. So, like, if you say I'm putting it on the Matterhorn or whatever, you can't Lightning Pass into other things while it's sitting on the Matterhorn.
What do you do while you go ride another ride?
You stand in line.
You stand in line
Yeah.
for like an
so
hour.
yeah, you
and
put
that
the
says-
auto save on a good ride, and then
Okay.
you try to just squeeze in one or two while you're waiting for your ticket to
That's
come
it.
up.
Or you have lunch or whatever.
But here's the
Okay.
hack.
Yeah.
So we had multiple lightning passes, but what you usually do is everybody in your group lightnings for the same ride, right? Because we want to ride together. So
Right.
let's say the four of us went to the park, we all had lightning passes, we would all lightning onto the Matterhorn, and then we'd go bullshit and try to do other rides until our time comes for the Matterhorn. Then our thingy would say your time is up. The trick is just one of you put your dib on the Matterhorn. The other three dib on other rides. You still go through the lightning line as a group.
Yeah.
They just let
They
you.
do not fucking check. So if one of you walks up with your phone, because there's a little scanning section where you have to scan in.
Yeah.
If one of you walks up and you all huddle together and you just are scanning it in, it will beep. And the person will assume that you scanned in everybody's tickets and you just go on through. So we caught on to this halfway through our last Disney visit. We started doing it that way.
It was amazing.
And then we had 4 lightning passes operating simultaneously.
Oh, that's cool.
Grabbing up the next ride. So then we were walking out of one straight into the next.
Oh, that's cool.
And we were rotating through them.
That's what I was thinking.
That's
And
how I
that
stuck
is
it to the man.
That's an example of how you're not taking responsibility as a single member of society
Yes.
to help improve the rest of society.
Oh, now you're on Team
Bingo.
Disney? Now
This
you're
was
on Team
sounding-
Disney?
This was sounding very shopping cartish to
Yeah.
me as you were explaining
It's civil disobedience,
It's very-
Tansman.
I feel like I need a name for
Defending
this
the knee.
Nick, like Thanos Nick or something.
I think it's just me from now on.
just
You're
Nick.
selectively.
The Vikings broke me.
Yeah.
All right, this is
Viking
it.
Nick.
His last moral fiber just
you
snapped.
haven't checked the end of the game,
From
right?
now on, I have.
Okay.
I have.
So you know about the overtime?
It wasn't fucking.
Double overtime.
Yeah.
You bullshit.
It's still going.
Yeah.
It is not.
They
be
shanked
great
the
if it
fucking
was,
cake
though.
to miss it all. All right, last question for
Sorry,
the night.
we're out of time.
Yeah, that's right. Fuck
We
yeah.
had to talk about Disney.
We had to talk about Disney. Last question for the night. Moving on from a mugging. Hey guys, my partner and I were mugged in broad daylight recently by 5 dudes.
Oh my gosh.
And 3 of them had guns. We didn't lose anything too valuable, and although my partner got pistol whipped,
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
we didn't need stitches or a lot of medical attention.
Good.
We're lucky that we both have therapists and PTO to take and good supportive friends. But how do we move on from this? I know it'll take time, but it's exhausting to hear relatives tell me I should get a concealed carry license. I will not be doing that. I don't want a gun in my home ever. Or they tell us that we should move because the city is becoming too dangerous. These comments are usually race-based or xenophobic too. We love our city. We love walking to places, and we don't feel like this will deter us from living our lives.
Did they say what the city was?
They did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now, but how do I explain?
Doesn't matter. I was just curious.
Yeah, so how do I explain that to my ultra-conservative family or coworkers? Thanks, Anonymous.
Well, first off, I'm glad you're both okay.
Thanos, Nick.
Secondly, Thanos.
Yeah,
Third, I guarantee these 5 dudes don't fucking return shopping.
yeah. All right. Jesus, your theory's starting to make so much sense.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like,
Think about it. The more you think about it.
it's just a weird standard to apply. But like,
Seriously, I am glad you're okay, and I'm sorry that
That
this
is
happened.
Of course.
insane and so
oh,
scary.
dude, pistol whip too. That's got to be so scary.
Okay, so an adjacent kind of interesting tidbit I just read the other day was that they is very vague because this is not scientific. Some people that exist interviewed people in jail for like muggings and like assaults, things like that, like the
Okay.
random stuff that happens like this. And they asked like, what do you look for, things like that. And I believe they were referring to women, like when women are walking out at night, like how do you choose who you're going to attack? And they said it was the gait or the way like the woman walked. If they walked with like confidence or, like they weren't distracted, it was very much like that person could probably fight back or something, then
wow.
that was their number one listed thing.
You have like a shy shuffle.
So if you're like looking down, I don't know.
Really?
Yes. Isn't that interesting? So
Well, it's the same. It's the
Jim,
same
you
idea.
should not go out at night.
I know. I didn't know this. I didn't
You
know I was
walk
going to get
around like Barney
predated
Fife,
upon.
and you're just like,
yeah, just constantly shuffling, looking at my shoes,
Well,
mumbling
it's
to
the same
myself.
idea as
I think
like-
I have a crazy vibe, so they leave me alone.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
true.
don't know. That guy
That
might
is true.
bite me.
yeah, look crazy. That's the number one.
That's why we should get you a T-shirt. It says, "Warning, I'm a biter."
Yeah. I walk around with extended arms, my hands just draped. And
They're not going to fuck with you.
I don't know.
That's the same idea as like walking in somewhere where you're not supposed to be, like into an event that you don't have a ticket for or something like that. If you walk and behave with a certain level of confidence, people just will leave you alone. And like good, bad, or indifferent, people will just leave you alone. Because like
such a good point.
if you see somebody you're like, do I want to mug this person?
Yeah.
Nah, they're walking with confidence. Because part of your brain goes like, they probably have a reason to be that confident.
Well, and obviously in this
So I'm
situation,
just gonna leave
it gets weird. 5 people.
Well, yeah, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I was like, this doesn't
Like,
really
that doesn't
apply
help.
here.
That's
but
whoever's there.
I thought I would share what I learned. I was
Which
like,
is good.
oh,
Yeah, it's good information. Have any of you ever gone through anything like this, being held up or threatened like
I mean,
this?
I've gotten mugged, but there was never like violence involved. And I always, both times that it happened.
What? You've been mugged twice?
Yeah, but it was sincerely not a big deal.
in Las Vegas.
What did that
No,
look
neither in
like?
Vegas. Yeah. Neither one in Vegas.
what I was
One of the guys had a knife.
Okay.
And one of the guys said he had like a gun or a knife.
Okay.
I think he said he had a knife.
Just give me your wallet.
That's it.
And it's okay.
And both times, like I didn't have. I think the most I lost was like $40-something.
Yeah, here you go.
So I was like, "Yep, great."
Yeah,
And it was scary.
Transaction
Right.
complete.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
The
not saying-
unknown.
I feel like I'm kind of being glib about it right now, and I don't
Because
mean
you
to be.
got through it. It's like you know what
Like,
happened. Yeah.
Like in both instances, it was like I've had that, and I've
shaken
been
up. Yeah.
robbed. Like I had my car broken into one time, and the car was robbed. They definitely did more damage than the value of the stuff that they took with the car. That was just annoying. That just pissed me because I had a convertible, and the way they broke in was they cut through the top. And I was like, you just caused like $2,000 worth of damage to take the change out of my ashtray. I had a multi-tool, like a Gerber multi-tool, and like they probably took $60 worth of stuff and caused $2,000 worth of damage. I was like, if you had knocked on my door, I would have given you just like $60.
Yeah. Just said, give me $60.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, they took the faceplate off my radio.
Oh, I remember those days.
Which
Yes.
was coded to my radio, so it wasn't even valuable outside. Yeah, it was. It was frustrating.
Yeah.
But yeah, like both times it was unpleasant, and it happened to my brother once when he was out of the country, but he had been warned to carry a decoy wallet.
Wow.
So he had a spare wallet with him that he just gave the mugger. Which Ryder, I would say that is a better safety tip than you carrying a gun.
Yeah. Because, I mean, the gun, yeah, it may help you, or it may escalate. Well, definitely escalate the situation.
It'll certainly escalate it. It's all the stats out there. Like you're more likely to hurt yourself or hurt somebody that you know with the gun and all that stuff. And the thing that people don't talk about is if you get held up and you want and they want everything out of your wallet, they want your credit cards and your cash or whatever you've got. If you kill that person, you have to deal with the fact that you killed that person over, even if you have $1,000 on you,
right.
I don't know. If you're willing to kill somebody for $1,000 and that's not going to bother you for the rest of your life, I guess that's fine. But
I had an episode years ago, and I've told the story in the show, but it was probably like it's season 2 or some shit. It's a very, very long time ago. But I was visiting a friend's house, and it was his birthday, and so we had a bunch of people over, and we were all getting in our cars to drive down the street and go off to a park to play volleyball one evening. And there was a guy there that I didn't know at the party, and he was kind of drunk, and he's kind of being a shitty guy. He had his girlfriend break up with him or something like that. So just being a jerk. And so he gets in his car, and he just peels out down this community road, this cul-de-sac, and there are families out in the road. It was like a Friday night.
Oh, that pisses me off.
And they're out there with their kids and hanging out. And, they are a bunch of, like, tough-looking dudes, but they're in front of their own houses. They're not bothering anybody, and they're all just sitting out there drinking, hanging out, playing music, and talking. Well, then he peels out and just that was very threatening to all of them.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of us were in 3 or 4 cars convoying behind him.
Oh, yeah.
And so now this guy flies through, and then they're all startled, scared.
Yes, riled up.
And then, also turns out very tough customers. Like these guys are not about to take that kind of shit lying down. They were fine until you provoked them.
Yeah.
These are not the guys you fucking provoke.
Yeah.
Because now they will make this all your problem, which they promptly did. And so my car was right behind him. And I'm trying to wave through very dark tinted windows at night that I am sorry, trying to signal don't know that guy. I'm so sorry. Are you guys okay? But they're screaming, punching the windows and stuff. And so
oh my God,
this is not wise to stop in this road and try to talk it out. Right. So I keep driving, and that was shitty because I'm now I'm probably coming off as indifferent and like an asshole. I go forward. I pull right, and then there's a park, not the park that was our destination, but another one that's on my right. And as I'm driving up to enter the main road, all of a sudden, all these guys in their cars come screaming up, and they pin me into the park. And so, a truck cuts me off, and dudes jump out of the back with baseball bats, and then another car comes up behind me and pins me from behind. And so now there's 6 guys all out of their cars, hitting my car with the baseball bat, get the fuck out of the car. And I'm there with my cousin. He's in my passenger seat. And my cousin, I don't think anybody in the room's ever met him. He's a really, really big guy. He's a Viking of a man. He's a very, very big dude.
Viking,
and so and I'm an idiot. And so I decide.
Could have said giant.
Could
have said
anything.
I think of it
Yeah.
Viking. Yeah. It's like a Nordic dude. But as they're screaming and hitting the car, I do the very stupid thing, which is roll down the window to try to talk to them.
Yeah.
And so here I am rolling down my window thinking, I'll just explain to these good gentlemen, I'm not with that asshole. I too think he's a bad person. I'm so sorry that happened. Are you okay? That was a mistake because as soon as I rolled down that window, they were in the car on me. So I'm getting punched. They're grabbing me, trying to pull me out of the driver's seat.
How old are you?
20s.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so probably mid-20s. I was a father at the time.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, thank God my kids weren't with me. I mean, I was just visiting my cousin for his birthday. And so they're reaching over trying to unbuckle me to pull me through the window.
Mm-hmm.
And then my cousin, who I describe as a Viking, this is why, because he threw 2 grown men off of me. He just reaches forward from the passenger seat, shoves both these guys back out of the car. And then, thankfully, I mean, right or wrong, he made the split decision. I can't keep them out of the car.
Yeah.
You're trapped. Our vehicle is trapped. Get the fuck out of the car. We have to stand ground. That's the only thing you can do because these guys are just going to fucking murder you.
Yeah.
So we both he pulls open my seatbelt and grabs me, and then he throws open his passenger side door and pulls me out. And then these guys are on us at that point. So they surround us. It's this very sticky situation. The cars behind us are catching up to us. There you go. But they have
I
like...
was just thinking, Jim has so many crazy car
know.
stories. Like, this is insane.
I'm a really bad driver.
Go on.
I bring these problems myself. Anyway, the whole situation did de-escalate because one of their friends was watching this all happen, and he I came over and appealed to him because he was the only one that seemed calm. And I was like, dude, I don't know if you understand this, but like, I don't know who that guy was that drove past you guys. We're at a birthday party. We're really nice people. We live here. My cousin's lived in this neighborhood for 20 years. Like, we are your neighbors. And he was like, look, man, my friends are going to fuck you guys up. Like, unless you get the fuck out of here right now. And I'm like, I would love to, like you're
You won't let me.
And he was like, I'm going to dive into the truck. I'm going to move the truck, get the fuck out of here. And so I was like, okay. And so like right then he jumps in the truck, he pulls out and he startles all of his friends because they're all turning like, what are you doing? Blah, blah. And then like me and my cousin dive into our car, smash the gas, peel out, get out of there. And that's how it all de-escalated. Later, I went to a gun store, obviously quite shaken up, and I didn't have a weapon on me or anything like that. And so I go to this gun store and I'm shopping for pistols, and I talk to an off-duty cop who's hanging out there. I tell him the whole story. And
That's how Jim got his gun he still has that he's never used.
Yeah, right. So I've got like all these people working there and I'm telling them my story. And so I say to the cop, well, what was the right thing? Like, should I have had a gun? And he said, honestly, no. And it's the same reason you guys just brought up. He said, if you would have had a gun, now you're going to have to kill them.
Right.
Because now
You've
there's 8
threatened
dudes
them.
with bats. They're going to start swiping at you.
You're killing somebody.
Yeah, they could have hit you in the face with that bat. They didn't.
Yeah.
You were unarmed. They were, they fucked you up pretty good. But they didn't try to kill
Their
you.
bats were the threat.
Now you've
to
got
you.
a gun.
No.
You seem threatening to them now.
Right.
And he kind of told me some cop stories. But one of the things he kind of shared was if you had fired that gun, which you probably would have
because they would be coming at you.
Bats. They're going to scatter. They're going to take the weapons with them. We're going to see a dead body, your car, and you. You're under arrest. And whenever we try to interview people, we're going to have 8 dudes walk over and say, that son of a bitch drove his car, almost hit our kids. We confronted him. He shot my friend.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're going to jail.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot to reverse that murder.
You're going to jail for something.
Yeah. They're taking somebody.
Yeah.
It's you, dummy. You
Yeah.
fired the gun, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, and if they did have a gun, you're not in a better position because you have one. Like now it's just a firefight. You're going to get shot too.
Right.
So it's just a mess.
You don't want to get into a gunfight.
Nothing's going to happen. So I asked them like, well, then what the fuck do you do? Like, I'm supposed to just stand up and muscle these guys? Like, what's the option? And he said, I know it's going to sound silly to you,
Call
but
911.
he said fucking pepper spray.
Oh, pepper.
He said, get
that's
pepper
a good
spray.
one.
Yeah.
And at the time
Yeah.
I was like, this 20-something-year-old kid, I was like, really? Pepper spray?
That's for
That's
girls.
for girls.
Yeah.
And he's like looking at me like, you dumbass. Have you ever been hit by pepper spray? He's like, we have to do it as part of the academy.
Yes.
We'd
Yeah.
rather be shot. That would be great.
I've never been sprayed
one.
with pepper spray, but I have been in a
vicinity of
I've been in like a room where
awful.
I was not there when pepper spray was sprayed.
Yeah.
I walked in a few minutes later.
It's still
And it was like a warehouse building. This wasn't like a little
Jesus.
room or something like that. Like it was a big cavernous building, and like could not be in the area.
Oh, it's awful.
Where it had been discharged.
Absolutely.
Like
That's such a good
snotting
point.
and crying,
Yep.
just standing there.
And
Yeah.
that's what
like
the
I wasn't
cop was
incapacitated or
telling us.
anything, but like if you get hit with that
Oh
shit.
no, he said, yeah, the superior weapon in that scenario, 8 guys facing off with you, you spray them all and
Yeah.
run. And he said at that point, they're not chasing you.
Yeah.
It turns out humans need oxygen.
Yeah.
And like if they don't have that, it's over. They can't see you. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, and also it's non-lethal. We will never charge you with that. We don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like
That's
the
so
worst of it's
good.
over in 2 hours. They'll wash it out. But like you will not be hurt, and that's the end of it.
And also, like legally, I think if you try to use non-lethal force and something happens, like if they have a reaction and die or something like
the
that,
assumption was non-lethal.
that's it. Like
Right.
you were attempting this type of force. Like if you have a gun and shoot somebody and they die, and you say, "Well, I was trying to wound them.
Right.
I wasn't trying to kill them."
The assumption of a
That's
gun.
that's
is
it.
a
Like there's
lethal
no
instrument.
use the gun that is
Right.
at least trying to use deadly
Intent
force.
is assumed.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I relate to this letter a lot, like that particular story.
Oh yeah, there was a letter.
yeah, right. It's
was
about
so
Disney,
caught
I
up
think.
in
I know. Wow.
What happened next?
Pepper
But no,
spray.
Such a good story.
I relate to the
And then the
writer.
Minnesota Vikings came out for the second half.
It all got worse. Take him right back to the pain.
No,
but no, I
so
do relate because
scary.
it haunted me for a really long time, and like it
So
was
did you
very
have
scary.
like PT? Because that's what I was going to
I
ask this
did.
person. Because
Yeah.
I had one client who was mugged at gunpoint. So
Yeah.
a female and one male had done that to her, and she was scarred for months. We worked
Sure.
through this and. Just the PTSD like symptoms like
yeah.
trouble sleeping, having nightmares, fear of going anywhere,
Yes.
and definitely not near that vicinity. That same client actually ended up at UNLV when the
the shooting happened. Jeez,
I was
terrible.
like, good grief.
Yeah.
People
Common
can't catch a
denominator.
break.
But it really is haunting.
You think
And
she
so
shot
for
him?
the writer,
What?
I totally
Your friend shot him?
understand that thought of like
I wrote it in
how
the
do
notes.
you overcome that? Like, and in writer, you're pecking at the right ideas here. That it does take time, and you have to intentionally not become avoidant, and that was something that I
Yeah.
had to challenge myself. Because like I was scared to drive at night. I was
Oh
scared
my
to drive
gosh,
in
yeah.
neighborhoods. I was scared to return back to my cousin's.
I bet any
neighborhood.
movement was like, is that somebody?
It makes
you know,
it made me extremely jumpy, and like and then constantly, like I went from just sort of this guy who was driving around and never sized up other guys with this idea of like,
They
could
could
that
hurt me.
person hurt me? How would I fare against them? Never thought,
Or no
would cross
assumption
my
someone would
mind.
chase after you in their car. You would just went off
Right.
driving thinking, oh, no
That
big
was
deal.
it. And then
Like,
after this, it's like this, you've lost your innocence whenever something like that's happened because you go through your life and somehow 9 billion humans, most of the time, we're not violent.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you don't have to walk into any given bar or any situation and ask yourself, like, could that person hurt me? Could I overpower them? Could I get away? You don't have to live in a world where you think that. But then when you go through something like this mugging or what I went through, you suddenly have that innocence ripped away from you where now you have to ask yourself, in a physical world where things descend into violence, would I be okay? Do I need to stay armed? Do I need to stay prepared? And that sense of readiness blows. But like adding insult to injury, what the writer's talking about, having your friends and family get political about it. Which I can
That
totally,
is-
they didn't tell us what city it is, but like assume it's San Francisco, right? Assume it's Seattle or something like that. And it's like there's all this conservative propaganda out there about like how California is this failed state.
yeah, or
and,
like Chicago. So
Chicago, right?
Yeah.
And it's like they paint this picture like these places are fucking war
Well,
zones.
all
Right.
it is it's just urban versus rural.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. We're just,
That's all it ever is.
it's just
That's
called
the
a city.
common denominator.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
It's
That's
just cities. But no, I
yeah.
imagine that is a lot of salt in the wound.
No, but yeah, I mean, you hear that in East. I hear this all the time, actually, from people I know who live in Vegas, and they're just like, "Oh, it's just getting too crazy here. I got to move. I
Like,
gotta
Vegas
get out
is
of here." It's
not.
like,
that very-
No.
it's like,
But I mean,
yeah,
how
it's- I mean,
insulting! Like, then I remember hearing that from people too. Like, well, Jim, you shouldn't be hanging out in this place. I'm like, I have family that lives there, asshole.
Yeah,
like, we're
you're
not
wrapping
wealthy
them into
people.
that.
Like, yeah, we whatever. Like, there's families that live in that neighborhood.
Right.
They're
how
not bad
dare you
people.
not live in Southern Highlands?
Yeah, what's your problem?
Piece of garbage.
I know, and
I
it's
know.
like Jesus, like
Trash.
But that's very insulting. To like, oh, the answer is don't be poor. Like the answer
Right.
is like
Yeah.
don't live in those cities. and
I
they're
mean, in
garbage.
fairness, that's
Making more
often a
money.
pretty good answer.
You know who did
You-
this? Biden. And it's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, all
Like,
right.
I relate to the writer that it's like, really? Like, come the fuck up.
I know. I was just in California for one day while I was driving. I was literally just driving along and thinking about like, yeah, this is what a lot of people in Vegas are screaming about. That we're becoming California. We're becoming California. And I've started asking when people, because that's just a common thing that people yell
Yeah,
in Las
it is
Vegas.
California.
Yeah, we're
We're just Eastern California.
that's
Yeah.
it. And I want to start asking in what way.
Yeah.
Just give me any specific examples because I don't
LA
see
driving.
much of a similarity.
no,
no,
Like LA driving.
no, not even
Not the
kinda.
driving.
Not
What do you
even
mean?
kinda.
LA is
I
a
feel
special
like,
hell.
I feel like about 85% of when something goes wrong when I'm driving around and it's someone, 85% of the time it's a California license.
But that's
plate.
just because there are more tourists from California are bringing their cars in than tourists from other states. Like
I'll tell you a way
we get
that
a lot
we
of
are
tourists from
becoming-
California, so like it's just not an even comparison.
One
So,
way that we're
yeah.
Well, that's
becoming
that's
Eastern
the route I was
California.
going to go with. Like, there's more, crime, or you live in a city. I'm like, well, yeah, there's more people in a city,
Right.
so there's going to be more
That's it.
crime. Like,
Statistically,
yeah, statistically,
that's just how that number
Yeah,
works.
like Southern California,
it's the same percentage amount, maybe.
yeah.
like we're a 3 to 4 hour drive from Southern California, and like it's a short drive from other places
Yeah.
too. But Southern California has 12 kajillion people
yeah.
Right.
living
Who are
in it.
happy to bring their
That's
degenerate
it.
gambling asses here. and
That's
give
it.
us
So
some
they come
money.
over and they're on our
I was
roads
just
and
telling
everything.
you, that's what I mean. when
I do
say
think that the every intersection taco shop thing is feeling a
pull a
little
Thanos.
California. That's a little Californian. To
Nope.
be honest with
I think it's pretty Vegas.
all right.
I mean, having just come from California, it
Lot
doesn't
of
look the
side-
same.
Yeah, well,
it
LA
really
is
doesn't look the same.
garbage heap.
No, I do think people in Vegas put too much onus on
I
California.
really think they do.
Yeah, no, it is too much of a complaint.
I'm like, it's just getting to be a bigger city
Yeah.
with more
Well,
annoying traffic.
a lot of
and-
Vegas comes from Cali, so they're
Right.
bitching,
Sure.
Which anyway, back to being mugged and like how to deal with this. Thoughts on I think you nailed it, Whitney, talking about strategies of like, okay, so we've dealt with people that are victims
How
of
do
crime.
I explain it to my ultra conservative family or coworkers? I think you already did. We love our city and we love walking places, and that getting mugged was scary. You can like say all the same things. It was scary.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it didn't happen. I wouldn't want anyone else to go through that. But the value I get from living in this city, I can walk in and enjoy the food and whatever else, seeing your friends, meeting up with them, whatever, that means more to me. Honestly, even being more diverse, that's one of the things I love about Las Vegas. And I have a hard time going back to Texas and dealing with the lack of diversity. And I mean from all over the world here, which is so cool. You can hear all different kinds of like accents, languages, like styles. Like it's just really cool to see. And I think sharing all that with your ultra conservative friends, they are not going to be like, oh, okay. They never will be.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter.
At some point, you'd stop explaining it, really.
Right.
I think you just kind of like, I guess
they
to
were already
me,
looking at you like you're crazy, and now it's like, oh.
my reaction to this is like, oh, well, why don't you leave or whatever? It's like, well, why do I have to change? I'm not the one that sucks. These 5 guys, they're the knuckle dragging chuckle fucks that are, causing the problem.
Yeah.
These are the guys that need, that's the problem. It's not me. It's not the city. It's those guys.
But Nick, I think we need to rephrase that and look at it kind of from their perspective a little bit. Instead of saying they're knuckle dragging fuckheads, let's say they're 5 scared individuals. And how do we deal with them then?
Yeah.
We let Thanos deal with it.
We put one shopping cart
Get
in the
that
street
extra
and we
ring.
see what they do with it.
Let's
They were like,
watch
Where does
nature
it
take
go?
its course. Nature being Nick Tangeman.
Yeah.
Sniper rifle Tangeman up there.
I know.
Bringer
And-
of justice.
No, here's the thing. It would be
Put the cart back, you
No.
son of a bitch.
no.
Nick's just hovering over people. Put it back.
It's not.
Nick Tangeman is the hero we deserve.
Pops out of a manhole cover wearing a fucking Walmart vest.
You better watch your back, Jim. Okay.
I am justice. I am the night.
It's a
It's
light.
humane.
The
They would feel
humane.
no pain. There's
Oh,
nothing they wouldn't even remember it.
yeah,
never
they
existed.
wouldn't know. Yeah.
That's really the
That's
answer.
very
There you go.
kind of you, Thanos.
Yeah.
Oh, there was something else I was going to say to that.
Hard
the
to go
making.
back after that,
I
isn't
know,
it?
right? That was a really good comment over there. Having the comments being race-based or xenophobic, I kind of want to challenge, or not challenge. I would be tempted to push back if they start saying comments like that, like all these blank people are doing this, or it's because of blank people,
Right.
that this is happening. You can say maybe, maybe not, but that doesn't matter to us. We're not thinking like that. Like that's why I say push back. You're not really, but just to help them see a different way. Like that was the other thing I was going to say is that rural areas can be dangerous in very different ways. You're far from hospitals or like doctors. If you fall and break your femur,
Which is about the same strength as what was it? Paper birch.
Well,
Sure.
Jim
We'll
didn't
never
learn
know.
anything.
We're taking that point away. You now have -2.
I used it in a sentence. That should count
well
for more.
done.
Thank you.
Jim learned a thing.
But you're right. Crime is everywhere.
Crime
And
is
there's this
everywhere.
temptation to be like, oh, well, Chicago, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, I get that. But per capita, and maybe there is a higher rate of crime. There's also more economic opportunity. There's also more fucking museums here, you know, than in your small town or whatever. So
yeah, like great, I'm safe now in this small town and I'm bored
Right.
out of my mind. And
I choose to live in a space that carries these risks.
Yeah.
There's still a learning opportunity, writer, and like I don't want to just wash away a mugging and like, you know, just say, hey, you know what, sociological blah, blah, blahs, and now we've just like given you platitudes. I want to look at it and say, okay, you're allowed to be scared. You're allowed to sit down and ask questions about like your safety. Where were there warning signs? Are there parts of town that we choose to avoid now because there's no longer safety in that
Or
zone?
now we carry mace.
Right,
There we
and
go.
that's what I did. I sought
mean, you
safety
want
after
to
my
learn
incident.
from the experience.
Yes.
Like you accept the experience and you know, whatever help you need to kind of get past this and therapy and anything else. But yeah, I mean, the only good thing that can come from this is that you can learn from it.
Yeah.
No, it is. And it does get better over time, Ryder. I mean, whenever people go through, you know, shootings, traumas, muggings, violent crime, therapists get a lot of that. You know, with those people come to us afterward. And a lot of times we are looking for that acute stress disorder. We are looking for adjustment disorder. Down the road, we're looking for PTSD.
Yeah.
And the way that we usually want to engage with that is talking through the situation as you remember it. Like we want you to process it. And with your partner, we want the two of you to talk through the memory. When did you notice this? What do you recall? What did it feel like? Giving yourself permission to re-access the memory rather than becoming avoidant of it, I think is really important because I think it's kind of like the emotional yoga of like kneading out those muscles and like allowing your brain to remember this in a sense of having some measure of control over it now. That's a big part of how we like over time get through it. Like for me, going through that thing that I went through, telling the story was therapeutic. Like sharing the story and then living it and thinking about it and asking myself, what could I have done differently? What would I do differently if I had it to do again? And then, taking some action steps that looked like seeking safety, I don't think is wrong, you know?
I always kind of use the filing cabinet example with the brain. Like your brain has to have some place to file this away.
And then you dissociate.
Yeah. Otherwise, otherwise it just becomes clutter. Like it stays there, it gets in the way of other things, and it's always, always appearing when you're looking for other things. But your brain's got to be able to process it, understand it, acknowledge it, file it away, put it where it needs to go. Yeah. And I think that's where
that's what
therapy comes
post-crisis
into play.
intervention is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did after the October shooting.
Yeah.
It's just allowing people to talk through that story and process it and file it. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately the best thing that's going to happen for you, Ryder. But I'm so sorry to hear about this. So many people have been victims of violent crimes. In our town, there's a special insurance for people that are victims of crime, and it pays for therapy. And so if a person in Las Vegas has, been a victim of crime, as soon as that police report's filed, they're given resources where they can then take this thing like a debit card to any therapist. And most of us take it because it's works the same as cash.
Yeah.
And so like it's a really great resource. If you haven't already, I would just double check in your community and see if something like that's available. Because doing some processing and maybe some support grouping would probably be really important here for like filing this memory away. Anyway, as we get to the end of the show, we want to remind you that we are powered by our friends and supporters at patreon.com/therapy. And if you'll go there and sign up, you can get our extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy our live chat Discord community. And every Monday, we release through the same feed a deep dive interview, skill share, research roundup, or rant, something that comes out every Monday just to push you, continue to grow you, give you insider information. It's much more educational, much more direct, much more focused, and that could be a great way to start your week. And, again, feeling good that you're supporting mental health programs in the world and things that you want to see. And so just to remind you, you can do that at patreon.com/therapy. And if you're not in a position where you can throw any dollars in the hat, just opening up the episode description and clicking to leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening, it means the world. It improves our algorithm. It costs nothing, and it allows more folks to find the show, and they may need it. So please leave us a review, and if you can, support the show. I don't think we have any newbies to welcome as we kick off the new year. Is that correct?
We do not.
Okay, so it's time to get on it.
Get over there and fix that.
Yeah, fix that. We like to read your name during this segment, but we do want to praise and revere the Dark Lord himself, Jim's Fascia, the official deity of Pod Therapy. And of course, we'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much they give till it hurts, the Therap partners Dirty B and Pickett. And especially we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Therap producers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Myra, Robert Brownie Jr. Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Don, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard fucking Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley slapping your face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T, Mike Helm, Paris, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder Cougar Falcon Scoop, Matt and Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kai Motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, Hannah Marie, Andrew Langmead, Emma Kane, Alina, Cody DeLorean Guy, and Sam Cohn. And before we outro, also, this year, there is another Scoop Fest coming down the pipe.
Come on.
Yeah.
It's going to be happening in May.
September.
I was fucking close.
Why?
You were in the right year.
I was in the right year. It's happening in
You
September.
did say a month.
So as your calendar
I was like,
your
May.
year, you should start thinking about September. You can find out more at
ScoopFest.com.
Scoopfest.com.
How many of your 40 by 40 do you plan on hitting by then?
Oh, there's already a Discord
I saw this
conversation.
just
Yeah.
now.
Where people are saying, okay, so
great.
we could probably just plan on doing most of this in September, and there's going to be a task force. And it's going to
Jim's
be
just gonna block his
40
week
by
out
40
for this.
task force at Scoopfest that are just going to run me through all of it. Just like,
Do it.
They're
fast
gonna
as they
run.
can.
They're gonna
I'm
run
going to say
through
right
them.
now, if other people do the work, I'm not counting them.
Oh well.
I agree.
Wait, what do you mean?
I agree.
Never mind. We'll come back to it. I'm like, do the work.
Technicality.
And if you
Yeah,
would
yeah.
like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
Do the work.
And why wouldn't you?
and enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we
From
got for this.
fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy.
Now say your joke, quick, Nick.
Tell them how many degrees are in a thermometer.
365 days of the year.
I don't know. Check us out. Tell people about the show. Tag us on the socials.
Do it.
I'm sure you can find out where it all is.
Do you want to submit a question to the show? Ask anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com, or you can click the link in the episode description to be taken to our anonymous Google form. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
365 shows.
300.
You know where my
It doesn't
mind
matter.
went?
I can
no.
fix all this in post.
No,
It is.
here's
You don't have
what I
access to
thought
the
of.
Dropbox.
I'll find it.
He'll learn that password.
Today's the day.
I thought when you said that, I'm like, I wonder what. I don't even know how I'm going to ask this right. You know how like Jupiter 365 days or like one trip around the sun is like way
an
longer.
orbit.
Yeah, so I was like, if it's 7 years that y'all have been doing this, I'm like, and you said 365
yeah.
like a normal year. I'm like, are we on Jupiter's? Like,
Yeah, I wonder which
rotation
orbit we're
or-
on.
I swear to God,
good
I
question.
don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Yeah.
For whatever
It's not-
reason, I 360.
You were
I
close.
was thinking 365. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Well, it's
I
like when
totally
people
see
get-
where your brain got lost. I mean,
It's
somebody
like
on
when
the
people
Discord.
do a minute or like
Yeah.
there's 60 seconds in a minute and they'll be like
Yeah.
100. I was like, wait,
Yeah.
no, it's 60.
Yeah. Somebody in the Discord said we now have enough episodes where a person could listen every day for a year.
Aw,
And like, yeah,
that's cool.
But why would you?
And why would you?
please don't.
All right, bye.
Bye.